Whoa! This is cool and all, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let me get us somewhere a little more relaxed. Hey there. So, I think it would actually be better if I just started this video off in a more laid-back kind of tone. I am gonna go somewhat in-depth on the characters I have here, but it's not really a critical discussion. There's no reason to start off with some kind of background information like, yes, character design. The cornerstone of a good video game, important for completely obvious reasons I will now begin to list. My videos are always nothing but my own feelings on a thing after trying to reason through them enough to be able to explain them. But this is literally going to be about my own aesthetic taste, so that's, my feelings are going to be more apparent than with other videos, I think. Nothing here about what the developers or artists might have intended, just what I've been able to observe and draw as a conclusion as to why I enjoy these characters. Okay, I'm done trying to justify my own taste, I'm just gonna indulge for like 20 minutes, let's fucking go. I actually played FF6 for the first time earlier this year, back in April. Obviously a really good game for a lot of reasons, though I do have to say, fucking props to FF6 for having an intro that gets right into the action and you invested in the characters in their world. I was instantly drawn to Terra and her plight, unknowingly being at the very heart of a war surrounding her past, and serving both as a great stand-in for the player to watch the story develop alongside Terra, and an interesting character herself in how she responds to other characters and the events around her. I don't have any kind of deep connection to Terra as a character, but I do like her a lot and am the most attached to her out of the FF6 cast. Once I became attached to her character, liking her design naturally came with that. Terra's original sprite may not do much to portray her design as well as Yoshitaka Amano's artwork, of course, or even the portrait sprite that appears in-game, but it tells you two things. One, even though everyone is designed by Amano, Terra's outfit is still unique, and two, Terra's green hair. Standing with the rest of the FF6 cast, these work to convey her character at a glance. Even just meeting her before you find out she's an Esper, you can tell there's something different about her from the others. Otherworldly, I think. It's the ornamentation on her whole outfit and clothing patterns, Amano's signature. A world of impossibly beautiful warriors and princesses adorned with all manner of gaudy beads, bandanas, gems, and ribbons because it's a fantasy world. Why not make everyone as attractive as possible even in the midst of battle and turmoil? Something about Terra's colors is appealing too. I guess it's because complementary colors, but it really works. Lucky that she turned out that way too. I'm not actually sure if this was the usual process for the FF series before 6, but the sprites were created first and then Amano made artwork based on them. The developers even joked that if they went by Amano's usual initial designs, the characters would have all been blonde. Green hair is the definitive look for Terra and you can't tell me otherwise. Her cape in particular is also nice with the gradient and flower pattern. It is very much a typical design trait of Amano, but it also works. You take that cape away and suddenly her outfit doesn't have the presence it did before. I think it's absolutely there for her character. The way she carries herself with calmness and poise, how she can stand for herself if she needs to, it adds to her elegance and grace. Call it a gross misinterpretation of her character for talking about FF6 by itself, but that's how I see her post-FF6 events and with the way she's developed as of World of Final Fantasy and Dissidia NT anyway. Finally coming to terms with who she is and gaining enough confidence in herself to be a little more assured and able to lift others up too. I would also like to mention the Terra that we see in the PS1 Final Fantasy Anthology FMVs. It's as close as you can get to Amano's style in 3D, the wispy hair and the refined porcelain-like features of the character renders. I can no better sum it up than what I say every single time I talk about FF6 to my friends. I don't know, Terra is just a very pretty lady. You know, I I did not realize which types of character designs I commonly leaned towards until I made this video. Yeah, I'm not even gonna transition out of this because it doesn't take more than 2 seconds of seeing these two side by side to see why I might like one if I already like the other. Although she and Terra are very different characters, they are similar enough visually that they fall into the same kind of archetype in my eyes. I do have to say that I'm only really familiar with the Fire Emblem Awakening incarnation of Tiki, and it wasn't even until the fucking gacha game that I even started to get remotely attached to her. Ninian was one of the first 5-star characters I pulled, and with her having fortified dragons in her base kit, well shit, I guess it's time to get some dragon units. But it's 2017, and good dragon units aren't super accessible unless you want to gouge your wallet, so I guess Tiki will have to do for now. Cut to 2018, maybe beginning of 2019, and I'm still using Tiki at +10, as optimal as I could get her for being a free-to-play player, and what do you know, spending time with something gets you to enjoy it. Funnily enough, I had time with Tiki before this. Awakening was my first Fire Emblem game, but I didn't know how to play Fire Emblem. They're all dead! So it was definitely a while before I saw all of her support conversations in-game, or even bothered to look them up on the wiki. Now, from what all I know of her personality as depicted in Awakening and Heroes, her design does just as well as Terra to give that mysterious air about her. The long green hair in a ponytail, the pink cape, short red dress, the bandanas and beads that were around Terra's waist being replaced with this honestly just really cute pink bow. Yeah, while I don't have as much to say about Tiki's design specifically, almost anything I said about Terra applies just to a lesser degree. I do also enjoy her character, and I'm still attached to it and her design even now. Funny that I just mentioned Ninian because I also wanted to talk about her. That whole experience I had with her in Fire Emblem Heroes is how I first came across her. I'm pretty sure that was before I played through Blazing Blade for the first time, so of course getting to know her from the source material afterwards made me like her even more. And now that I think about it, Terra and Ninian are similar characters if we're talking about them in the most general sense. Initially passive and enigmatic, but kind-hearted girls eventually revealed to be half human, half mythical hybrids. Ninian is used for her power just as Terra was, and despite forming a bond with Eliwood and friends through all of that. As she says in the end of the game, dragons and humans can't live in harmony, at least not for a long time. And from there, their characters go into different directions. Ninian doesn't really have any character development to speak of, unlike Terra, and her identity and place in the world is not brought up like it is with Terra either. There are other nuances to their stories, of course, but we would be here all day, so that's all that's important here. Ninian and Terra still try to aid in their friend's cause however they can, and in the end are able to find love in some form. Obviously, they are not similar visually, but considering all of that, I feel like Ninian belongs in the same archetype I've made. As such, her design works in the same ways as Terra and Tiki, and though I don't have much to say about her in particular either, it's still worth pointing out specific pieces of her design. While she is gorgeous in the GBA games, heck, there's even this art from the Fire Emblem Cypher card game that is so perfect for her. I like that the various bits of jewelry she has are drawn in motion and don't look as, dinky as they do in her official art. I'm guessing the setting is Dragonscape, which is weird if we go with the idea that it looks like she's putting on a performance, but I don't see this artwork any other way. She's a dancer with a lot of mystique to her, and she has all the flair she needs from the jewelry, what I'm guessing would be called a shawl, and the sparkles. I know that seems like an unnecessary thing to call attention to, but hey, it works for her, and the artist had to make an active decision to draw everything in here. So, even if it is just to make the artwork more visually appealing, it works for that too. Anyway, I am very much biased when I say that I think her hero's artwork really does some good for her. I love the snowflake designs of her shawl and, oh, what is that called? Oh, duh, of course. She's an ice dragon. Give her ice-themed accessories. Hell yeah. Even the bottom part of her dress, where it, has a new part of the dress emerge from underneath it, I don't know what that's called. But yeah, it has a snowflake sort of shape to it, and it's really cute. I think the colors are straight up more appealing than the GBA era artwork, too. Much better suited for her if we're going with the ice theme, and the color of the GBA artwork overall can be a bit dull. I don't play Heroes anymore, but I'm glad IS acknowledged her with 2 more alts, great artwork, and has represented her well. Ninian is also a very pretty lady, with a design totally befitting of her title as the Oracle of Destiny. So, I played FF7 for the first time almost 2 years ago at this point. Though I obviously haven't had the same amount of time to ruminate and connect it to my own life to the extent that fans have who played it back when it originally released, Aerith still resonates with me in a way that I am actually going to talk about in a future video. Her design is beautiful, her character and spirit is beautiful, but we'll just be discussing design and some surface level character details today. The original models of FF7 are rather toy-like, but hey, Aerith's design on paper was already cute, so I guess that lends itself nicely. The long pink dress combined with the red chest-tight jacket that Nomura so often did, and the iconic pink bow. The bow certainly helps, but Aerith's hair is also iconic in itself. The braided ponytail, the longer front strands, and the curtain bangs. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda love these bangs on characters. I couldn't tell you exactly why, I guess it's because I've seen it on so many iconic designs that my mind now associates it with being a design trait that I like. Link, a good few Naruto characters, Ed. Yeah, I guess I love how over the top they can be. It's interesting that the bangs were even kept on Aerith too. As one of the many FF7 development tales goes, Aerith and Sephiroth were initially conceptualized as siblings, then former lovers, then they became what we know them to be once Zack's character was created late in development. The bangs are simply a leftover of the initial idea. But that's enough of a tangent. Basically, Aerith comes off visually as a kind and pure girl, and while she may not have the same aura about her as Terra, Tiki, or Ninian, especially if you know her character, I think she falls into a similar category as them. The red and pink of her outfit, her green eyes if you want to include all instances of the same colors, and her also being a half-human, half-sort-of mythical hybrid. The Cetra aren't any kind of otherworldly beings, they're simply a race of people with spiritual power. And while Aerith on the surface is much more cheery and vivacious than the usual person, perhaps to the point where there is something uniquely different about her, especially in FF7's setting, I think a part of Aerith's character in the original game was that she seemed like a normal girl. She didn't look too out of the ordinary like Terra or Ninian, or more obviously Tiki since she literally has pointed ears. It's revealed pretty early, but even though they do drop the word ancient a couple of times before Elmira officially tells you, if you don't know about it beforehand, then it is a genuine reveal that she is a Cetra. And that's where Aerith's similarities to those other characters end. It is very much a surface level comparison. Aerith is very different from them, but I love her for that. Aerith ticks off plenty of the boxes of design traits I've explained to like so far, while also being a unique character in her own right. She is stellar. And then the remake finally came out.
Yo, my god!
She looks so real! Yo, look how her hair flows in the breeze, dude. You can tell she has individual strands.
Damn, this lighting!
Y'all are seeing what I'm seeing, right? It's here, and it looks
this good! She's such a beautiful woman!
Shoo! Okay, so, take everything I said about Aerith and multiply it 1,000-fold. I wasn't even alive when the original game came out, and again, relatively speaking, I haven't had my life changed by FF7 for long at all, nor to the same degree as seemingly everyone else who has played it. But I cannot even describe this to you anymore. Just look at how far we have come. She's so pretty. There's nothing else I could say other than she is so pretty. I've said multiple times before to people when I talk about this game that Aerith is the most gorgeous woman I have ever seen, and I stand by that. And as of now, I would actually say she's one of my favorite video game characters of all time, and her design really is half of that. Oh, Aerith is beautiful. Can't wait to see more of her in part 2. characters I've mentioned so far are ones that I actually know. I've played their games, I like who they are as characters, and liking their characters came intrinsically with liking their designs. So this may be a strange pick to include, but yeah, Zero's design is one I actually find really cool. I tried Mega Man X for about 15 minutes years ago, so for the sake of simplicity, we'll say I've never played a Mega Man X game. They look cool, the music and sprite work are sick, gameplay is tight and fast-paced, speedruns of this game are insane. And that is exactly what makes me scared of it. I am not good at platformer games. Never have been, and while I have played a little bit of Hollow Knight and Symphony of the Night, and Ori, which has given me a newfound appreciation and interest in Metroidvanias, I think those games are a whole different beast than platformers like this, especially old school ones. That's pretty much my experience with platformers and games like them. I am interested though. Like I said, they look cool, so I don't know, maybe one day. But anyway, Zero's design. I think the first time I saw him was actually in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I typically don't fuck with fighting games either, especially at the time I was playing that, but it had a good-ass art style. Honestly, it still looks really good even now. The music was great, it was fun to mess around with, even if you don't know how to play games with... And it had Amaterasu in it, so that's enough for me. Zero's design is its own package of traits that I like. Firstly, the bright primary colors. Even in designs that aren't very well liked, they still work. If you want a character that's gonna stand out and maybe even be a mascot, a primary color scheme will almost never let you down. Almost every Fire Emblem Lord, Klonoa, Banjo-Kazooie, Sora, Chrono, even if his colors aren't as bright as the others, and Shu, even someone as perfectly generically shonen as him, I like all of these. I'm gonna take this opportunity to mention Zero's saber because the blue gem on his forehead is the only instance of blue on his suit until the saber comes out. And it's really rad. Like a big blue, sometimes green energy saber that has the... swoosh sound effects, and it's really satisfying to use. Like, do I need to say more? The second thing is the overall shape of his armor. You know how I mentioned earlier that I liked bangs because of how cartoonishly exaggerated and over the top they can be? Yeah, same thing here. This goofy ass armor. I don't know the thought process that went into making this design or how this works technically, if there even is anything technical about it, but good shit. Good shit. Big pointy armor shoes that... the huge pauldrons, oversized hands and gauntlets, and the helmet. I was actually just gonna mention how it comes up in these points at the top, but it's just... I don't know, the whole thing has a cool design. There's this concept sketch of Zero where it explains how his face and helmet need to be drawn to give him the right expression. And that kind of attention towards detail and making your characters either be as expressive as possible or having a sort of trademark look, really impressive. I'm sure just about every major video game character design has more thought put into it than we're even made aware of, but it's still awesome stuff to get inspired by. By the way, when I mentioned if there was anything technical about this design, I want to clarify that what I meant was, how did Keiji Inafune decide that Zero was gonna have all the traits that I've described so far? How does this work purely from a character design standpoint, more critical than what I'm getting at? Because clearly this design does have a lot of thought put into it. Not that the other designs that I mentioned don't have thought put into them either. I guess it's just easier to realize that when there's this much art to look at. Seriously, even as someone who is only familiar with Capcom through Okami, what little knowledge I have on Phoenix Wright, Street Fighter, and Resident Evil, Capcom art is something else. Zero in particular, not even looking at the rest of the art for the Mega Man games or the characters in them, it is an absolute goldmine. I'm really no character designer, but the times that I have looked at this artwork, I think to myself, I want that. I want to draw like that. I want to make designs that are this exaggerated and sleek at the same time. So fucking cool. Also, Zero's hair. That is such a stroke of genius on its own. I'm not sure if the term line of action is used exclusively for poses in art, but I can't think of what else you would call this, so I'm going to refer to it as such. Line of action is basically a way of making your character's actions look more dramatic and accentuated rather than being stiff. It gives a piece much better energy and flow, especially in animation. Zero's hair gives him a much needed line of action. First, let's see what he looks like without it, just to see how much it adds to his design. Wow, that is strange to see. So, Zero's got plenty of cool action poses where his hair either is the movement or is a part of it. I'm just gonna use this X5 drawing of him because it might be one of my favorites. He's all bent down with the saber out as if he's readying himself for battle, charging up. And there's his hair, just this huge, swoosh, for lack of a better term. It's like a flourish. Very bright, very much a focal point of him in this drawing. Even in drawings of Zero just standing in a neutral position, that hair is moving, it has a flow to it. This works just as well in game sprites too, when he pulls up in the first Mega Man X or how he plays in X4 for example, hair blowing and bouncing behind as he goes. It does a lot to show movement and give him flair. His design in the Mega Man Zero games, though, is also very cool. Some of these official drawings, oh my god, I don't even know where I first saw some of these particular drawings or this design, but I wanted to find out what game they were from the second I saw them. I mean, these are stylish as all fuck. Like, I don't even know how to describe it other than this is Capcom artwork. You know it as soon as you look at it. And that's not even mentioning any other variants he may have. Who is this man? But that about wraps up what I have to say about Zero. Every version of Zero is the sickest shit I've ever seen, and I promise I will try to get into Mega Man X one day. I think I'll close things out with, even if you're not an artist in any capacity, I hope I've at least shown how to have a newfound appreciation, respect, and inspiration for some of your favorite characters and their designers / artists. Every single time I start a script, I think, this video is gonna be a short one, I hope? No. It never is. The El Shaddai video is the only exception. I was actually worried this wouldn't be a substantial enough video idea, but here I am. 8 pages into the script, probably like a 20+ minute long video, which was how long the Golden Sun script was. I hope it was substantial anyway. I think this video was basically me rambling about my own aesthetic taste for way too long, but hey, it's different than a game review, and writing the script was fun because there was very little research involved. Pretty much all of it came from the heart. There were actually more designs I wanted to mention, but like I said, not only is the video long enough, but I can't talk about some of them yet. I want to make videos on their games individually in the future, and the characters from those games are a part of what makes the game and my experience with it significant. Either that, or I just didn't have enough to say about their designs to warrant them being included, but I mean, if I really wanted to, I could make another one of these someday. Maybe I'd even have some new favorites by then. Fun thing about these designs too, included or not, they're old drawings, so I won't show them now, but some of the designs I really liked, I have drawn before I liked them that much. Whether it was a digital art piece that I wanted to do them justice with, or doodles on school notebooks. I guess I just wanted to say that because when I was talking about being inspired by these designs, I really meant it, and character design, this is probably obvious, but I think it's still really important. Literally everyone has gravitated to some design and drawn it somewhere when they needed to pass time. And it's neat seeing what appeals to people and who they think of first in that situation. Alright, now that's enough rambling. Hope y'all enjoyed the video and that you're doing well.